Greetings, Summoners. I know it's been some time since I've recorded and uploaded another video, but for those of you who are aware of my activities on the Discord server and around various other places, you know that I've been hard at work translating various things, purchasing more roll and roll magazines, and a few other systems that I'm interested in, and I'd kind of just like to go over some of or the quite large pile of things that I've been up to over the past 6-ish months since the last video. What we have here is the general Google Drive for the Shin Megami Tensei tabletop role-playing game, Devil City Tokyo 2000X. Previously, I would just drop a link to the core rulebook or various other rulebooks. And this Google Drive, it was on my Discord server. It's in the back of most of the books, but I think it's actually not in the back of the core rulebook here because it didn't exist at the time, and I haven't gone back to change the links at the end of the book. My apologies. I'll try and get on that. But I'd like to show off, this is where all the character sheets are. This is for demons if you want to print them out and fill them in by hand. Demon character sheet. It's very similar to the human character sheet. This is like a weird form fillable one, so it looks a little funny. It's regular. The impression sheet, which is for filling out at the end of sessions, kind of like a wind down phase, and then you get to vote on the alignment shift that people get. And then a sheet for all your skills. Those have all been in here for a while. The Diamond Realm supplement has been... Well, this one doesn't want to load for some reason. That's been done since last year. I think I finished that just before Christmas. Then there was the Tokyo Millennium book. And let me just go down to the last page here. So I forget already when I uploaded that one. March 15th. So that was 3 months ago. And then 3 months later, actually in April, so basically just 1 month, we had the Makai Sephiroth supplement. Can't show the front cover because it's a little spicy. I don't know how YouTube's gonna take to that. But now there's 3 of the 6 supplements, besides the core rulebook, translated and available for you guys to read and download. And I know that the YouTube channel, it's been unfortunate because I always get worried about what I'm going to record, what I'm going to go say. And I probably just need to start uploading whatever comes to mind, even if it's a few minutes long, because not every video needs to be super substantial. And unfortunately, most of the previous ones are running like 30 minutes to an hour, including on my other channel. Speaking of, there is also a Foundry virtual tabletop system that I have programmed, which you can use to play both SMT X and also Tokyo Conception if you have one or the other or prefer one or the other. So yeah, if you're a Foundry user and you want to play, go ahead and download that. I will put links. I'll try to put them in the description. I may still not be able to do that, and it might be in a pinned comment in the comment section. But I'll try and link the Google Drive, my Discord server, and also the Foundry GitHub page so that you can copy and paste the system manifest. This video is mostly just to spotlight that I've been hard at work on churning these out. My goal is to finish all 6, so the next 3 supplements, by the end of this year. That would be ideal, I think. And I'm on track to do that. So Dark Profile, which is the current the 4th supplement that I'm working on, it's going pretty well. I haven't messed with it in about a month, and I'll get to why in just a minute. But it's about 30 to 60% done, depending on how I kind of want to like gauge the progress on it. Haven't messed with any of the demons yet. Most of the skills I haven't messed with. There's really big community lists, or aka social links, because the Dark Profile supplement is one that does not tie itself to one of the main games per se, where Diamond Realm is a specific period tying into the first game. Makai Sephiroth is the end of SMT2. Tokyo Millennium is sort of the beginning and middle of SMT2. Dark Profile goes back to the quote-unquote Devil City Tokyo setting, which is just the universal modern-day Tokyo, do what you want. This is kind of what's happening, but it's your story to tell setting. And because it's back in that more unique setting, they are pulling in from many different SMT titles or Atlas titles in general, because there's Soul Hackers, there's Persona, I believe the Devil Summoner makes a few appearances in the form of like NPCs and factions and stuff. There's not rules on how to play in that setting. There's things brought into the SMT X setting from those games. It's that kind of situation. But as such, the further in the timeline that we get, because remember the first core book was written in 2005. So many of the games that we got in the West that are many people's favorite games they weren't even in existence yet when these first supplements were made. But as we start getting into the late 2000s up to 2010, when support stopped and they moved on to other projects, we start seeing more from the titles that more people are going to be interested in and familiar with. So yeah, keep an eye out for that. If you, like I said, there'll be links at the bottom if you want to join the discussion on the Discord, or just keep tabs on when I actually upload these. Because like I said, this was basically August or September, and then there were a few revisions to fix typos and stuff up until November. Then I made the Foundry system, which I was documenting the updates every time I did those. While also doing that, I got Diamond Realm out in December. Tokyo Millennium was in March, so it was a little break for me. Haha. Makai Sephiroth. Now we've got Dark Profile. So recording a video about every little thing that I do is not something I'm used to doing. I might try that out. But if you do want, instant messaging type of deal where you can see, oh wow, this is where he's at, new upload, links to everything. People, if you want to try and find players, everyone wants to play. So if you're a GM, you've got your pick. There's an LFG channel. You can try and find people if you want to do an online game. Anyways, the reason why I haven't, I'd otherwise have Dark Profile finished, it's not done because I was working on Stellar Knights. I've got all the sheets here. One of them's form fillable, thanks to a community member. We've got a Google Docs sheet thanks to a community member. For people that want to play physical, I've made a denser bouquet sheet. We've got the full FAQ for the core book, and then of course, indeed, the core book. Draconian is a really wonderful company, and they always upload on their support pages things to the, like, they upload the assets, so like clean, blank, full high resolution pictures of stuff that's in their PDFs. That's very cool of them to do, which makes the layout part easy. Not that this is like endorsed in any way, right? It's a fan translation, so please go and support the original creators where possible. There are links in the book itself, namely here in the foreword. The support sites, the official pages. I don't actually have a link to where you can buy the book, but it's, I mean, from these have Amazon pages, they have Bookwalker pages. You can buy it physical if you prefer that, although you may have to import it if you're outside of Japan. Yeah, please support the authors. They've made a very nice system here. This book, it may seem long, 358 pages. It is, a lot of it is the replay. A lot of it is sheets, a lot of it is data, and the book itself, you can see the font's very big and there's not a lot of text on the page. It's Bunko format. I think it's actually smaller than Bunko. It's like A6 or A7. It's a very little book. So it ends up being kind of thick as a result. Yeah. This one was fun to work on. This was one of the first fan translation projects that I did probably 5-ish years ago. I was working on other things like Make You Kingdom, fan translation. That didn't really go anywhere. But then I jumped into this system because there was so little text on each page. It wasn't multi-column. It was just an easy book to OCR and work with. But as a result, so 5 years ago, a lot of the translation tools and OCR tools and things like that were definitely not as good as they are today. So that initial version, I basically went through and translated all the character creation and combat rules, and then everything else was just like DeepL, Google Translate, just copy pasted in and out, and so none of the terms were consistent. All the spellings were all over the place. Of course, it read really, really badly. And that was because I was more interested in putting together a PDF, because that was a skill I hadn't developed at the time. So I was like, oh, can I do it? Well, how can I do it? I ended up using something crazy like Google Slides and then saving that as a PDF from Google Slides, which was surprisingly effective in terms of having a PDF at the end of it. But now I use Affinity Publisher, which allows me to set up master pages and put in page numbers and template things, which is much, much, much more convenient. And as a result, this was basically a dark mark, right? That's why I was saying about how completely shit it was. It was a dark mark on my work doing fan translations. This was a game that a lot of people were looking forward to at the time back then. And, it's really disappointing to have that be the quality standard that I was able to do at the time. So I decided to redo it because people would bring it up. Oh, I'm interested. Oh, there was a fan translation, but it's really bad. I hope someone redoes it one day. Well, why not? Why not me? Why don't I redo it myself? Since it's my bad for it being so garbage. But I was working on this system for a couple months. While I was doing Makai Sephiroth, I was OCRing. I was working on the layout for Affinity Publisher. And then I basically spent the last month finishing off the script, I just added the replay at the back of the book, which is a little rich for my blood. So obviously, most replays that you'll read are edited and dramatized. And that's definitely the case here, where it is very mushy-gushy and has quite a lot going on, to be honest. It is, because you can see here, the afterword is on page 244, but the PDF is 358 pages. So it's over 100 pages of replay. It's about 20 or 30,000 characters worth of text. Not characters, words. So it's more characters than that. But yeah, it was really nice to just go through, redo everything. I didn't even go reference my old notes or anything, just redid it from scratch, basically. One of the neat things that I did, I put, where possible, I put things into color. So let's scroll down to, yeah, so like the sample characters, this was all black and white. And I got the color sample characters and redid them. This thing behind them, I had to redraw that and like reconstruct it. I was able to find later most of this design, and I was like, oh crap, if I'd found that, then I wouldn't have had to redraw it. But yeah, it was really cool to have those assets and be able to put them in color where they're not in the original. So I think I did a pretty good job this time. A couple people have definitely run it already. If you join my Discord, you'll find other people to discuss this game with, or SMT if that's what you're interested in. But in the foreword here, I have a call to action, so to speak. If you played the game, run it, go ahead and talk about your session experience. If you format it like a replay, if you streamed or recorded your session, even if it's an audio recording, like a podcast or something, go ahead and share it there. That lets me know that, you know, people are interested. They want to see more Stellar Knights. So as it stands right now, I do not plan to work on the supplements or auxiliary replay stuff until, as it says here, was said 15 reports. I think I meant to change that to 10. We'll see what happens. Basically, if there's not enough people interested, then I'm not going to continue it, but I think I've done my due diligence here in redeeming the quite poor translation that I previously put out and was known for. So yeah, if you find a fan translation that doesn't look like this one, then you might have my really old bad one from like 5-6 years ago, and you should look for this one instead. But I'll link this as well as its Google Drive, because it's separate, in the description or pinned comment. Back onto SMT X. Already talked about Dark Profile. After that, there's Ragnarok, which goes back to the end of SMT 1, I believe. So the timeline here for the supplements jumps around a lot, but they all add a bunch of unique systems. Like I think that's the one where you actually have the so-called godly awakening stage, where you have not to say it's like Nahobino, but you know, it's more along the lines of like your character is an incarnation or avatar of a specific demon or deity, and that awakening tier allows you to sort of become like a super / more unique version of that demon, as opposed to just what you can always do in the game is just fuse. If you're a human, you can fuse yourself with a demon. If you're a demon, of course, you can fuse yourself with a demon. But it kind of just turns you into that demon. It doesn't really affect. There's no like unique mechanics to it, and I think that's what Ragnarok adds, as well as like mass combat rules, which is something that the author has always just wanted to try designing, and it looks like he tested his chops on that. I haven't really fully read it yet, but I know it's in the book. Then the last book is Strange Science, and they just crammed everything into that they possibly could because that was the last supplement. You have lots of strange journey stuff. There's rules for exploring in harsh locations such as outer space or polar ice caps. There are rules for well, it comes with like another unique modern day setting. It's called Academy City. If you're familiar with a certain scientific railgun, that may sound familiar. And indeed, it is basically just a Toyota railgun with the serial numbers filed off. Some of the new classes are called Thunderbolt and Invincible, which I believe is Accelerator, because all it gets is a bunch of repel affinity stuff, kind of like the Masakado's Magatama. Among many, many other things. Like it has vehicle rules and lists of vehicles that you can buy, and they have like stats and stuff. There's just, it's really all over the place. When I say strange journey stuff, I'm talking about like comp apps, main applications, sub applications, formas, special forma item crafting. It really just is just all over the place, which is really cool. And then, of course, tons of new demons, items, skills, etc. So that's something to look forward to for sure. Besides that, I have been working on. Let's see if I can open one of them up right now. I bought. Well, I've been working on like the Disgaea TRPG stuff that are from the Roll and Roll magazines. I have like all but one of those now for my collection. The more that I read, I thought that it was going to be like, oh, this is cool, this is cool. I'm starting to get more of a bigger picture. They kind of just reprint the same stuff for like the last 10 years, and I'm not actually convinced there's enough to be like, oh, this is basically a rule book made out of 2-page clippings from 100 magazines. It's missing something, and I haven't read all of the magazines. Obviously, there's really a ton of them, but they reprint a lot. Like every so often, every few issues, they go back and they reiterate something, or they've made a small tweak to it, or they reintroduce it. And when they do that, it means they're not adding more scope and context to the entire game. They're just rehashing stuff that they already kind of introduced. And I don't know, there may not be enough there to have a system, but I've been kind of working on it. Let's see what I was pulling up. Infinite Fantasia. This one is from Tommy Walker and is played by Web Series, the very first one that they ran, as it turns out. And they went on to do Silver Rain, which is pretty popular. Also end of service now because it's a bit old. They move on to other projects. Where is it? Here it is. Let's see if I can just pop it in here. Yeah, Infinite Fantasia. So this is the inside cover. Just to open up some of the random pages. You can see this is early 2000s, 2003 kind of art style. So I really love the style throughout the book. They have elves and beast people and lizard men. Oh, that'd be cool to pull up. Let me see the races. So yeah, here's basically the humans, elves, and the beast people, which in the middle here, the strider, he's got like a tail. And then you also have sirens, dryads, and lizard men, which is quite interesting lineup there. And they have a few other races. There's a chicken race called Chicken Leg, and that's in the advanced rulebook, which I will get to when I get to it. But I'm reading through this one right now. And it's a D20 system, 3 stats, roll under, and you have like these thresholds to figure out like your success levels. And there's let's see here. Like one of the classes, right? Like it's a grappler, so it shows Lizard Man. He's got like gauntlets on. At the bottom, you have. Let's see if I zoom in. You have other people's characters. So like this is the art that they either made or commissioned for their characters on the website for the Play by Web series. These are the grappler skills. So you can see they're formatted in a pretty interesting way. Different colors based on which stat they use to activate them. Dice rolls. Let's see. So it uses front row, back row system. Where's the stacking thing? They have like these little MMO icons. No, that's not them. Well, anyway, the combat rules, there's kind of a lot going on to them. And they have like effects where you can only be affected by one effect at a time. So like if it has like a little shield, then you know that other skills that have that shield icon, they don't stack with other shield icon skills, and so you have to choose which effect applies to you. Which I think is a interesting case because in a lot of games, you like in SMT X, you can only have one debuff. In a game like Pathfinder, you can have every debuff. So it's interesting that they go through and have a different take on that. The D20 roll under with thresholds for success levels is interesting. The attack and defense rolls are contested. You can do counterattacks. You can cover for allies and take damage in their stead. There's all kinds of EX actions. The character creation goes through a ton of charts. So your character's build, whether you're like thin or muscular or curvy, affect your stats. Your date of birth affects your stats, and you can randomize all these things. It's just really cool. The adventuring party chooses a class called a brigade, and you these things down here. It's basically for activities that you can do to like get bonus XP at the end of the session. The very bottom tells you like what happens, like how the party disbands. So like for the adventuring party, which isn't this one, if they lose their spirit of adventure, then the party disbands or the brigade disbands. But you have these brigades. You have a brigade policy. So like whether you guys are ruthless and are not going to let any enemies escape or survive, you can go for non-lethal policy, so you always try and talk first and you get bonuses for talking, and you get like a special ability that helps you talking with people instead of fighting. You have other ones where it's like you're prideful or you're in it for the money, and it just helps all the PCs fit into the brigade and stay on the same page so that you don't have people with like conflicting agendas, so to speak, which aren't always bad, but I'm sure everyone's heard stories before of like, my character's a paladin and wants to fight evil, and then someone joins the party as an evil cultist, and now you have to figure out what's going on, and most people don't like to have that kind of friction, like from the outset, right? But the system seems really, really neat. There's a point crawl world generation, like roll tables at the end of the book. Let me pull up one. I haven't actually read the system yet for how this works, but like here's a town or a part of a town, and on the left column, this table shows connections and things like how many routes and what they lead to, and then on the right there's an encounter table, as well as just like a little description, a cool picture, so you can do a whole lot. I'm gonna roll the dice here, pulling this one open. Okay, this one should be safe for YouTube. Enemies blocks are made up into cards. They have their abilities, which stat they use, range, all that stuff. They have their stats here. So as I was telling, the D20 roll under. So like this is 1 success, 2 success, 4 success. You see these are all 20, so like level 45 guy out the gate, if he rolls any number, he's getting 4 successes. So you need to have you need to be quite mighty yourself in order to defend and withstand a foe like this. So lots of vertical progression, that kind of thing. It's really, really cool. I'm interested to go through this one, and I need to balance it a bit with Dark Profile. But all in all, the Infinite Fantasia, it's actually not that long of a book. It's less than 200 pages. And if we go to... What's one of the pages I had with text on it? Here's one with text. Or which one has more text? This one does. There's not that much text on the page because there's really big margin embellishments. You've got art on the bottom. They leave generous spacing for the tables and the headers. So it's not a long book, and there's not a lot of text in the book compared to many other things that I've seen and worked on. Making a PDF of this one, I may not do that to myself. It is full color front to back. Lots of art and special unique elements that have stuff behind them that make removing the text very difficult, and then other things where it's like, do I want to redraw it? Do I want to put the text in? I don't know. I may not do that to myself, but so far I'm really liking what I see of the system. So this video has gone on for much longer than I anticipated. I do plan to upload a few other videos in a short time frame. I want to make a video over the differences between SMT X and SMT Tokyo Conception, which is the official localization and published by Lion Wing Publishing. Definitely support them and give that book a try if you are a big fan of SMT3 Nocturne, because even though they filed the Nocturne name off of the system, that is what Tokyo Conception is. And if that's your favorite game, that is the system that will most accurately mimic the Nocturne system. But if you're interested in modern settings, or for some reason you really like SMT 1 and 2, or the other games that I mentioned that are coming in future supplements like Strange Journey, go ahead and check out SMT X. Until next time, which will hopefully be sometime next week, that's all for now. Thank you, and have a good day.